Hi everyone, it's me, Marcy. We're here for another episode of Marcy's Meal Deals. You might notice I'm doing something a little different with the cameras today. I had some friends I got to speak to that are a little bit more knowledgeable about how to do this kind of thing than I am. Share some ideas and thoughts with me. So I'm trying some new things, see how it works out, and let me know what you think. In the meantime, for today, we are getting ready for the holidays. And I realize not everybody gets to go out to big family gatherings for the holidays, whether it's for health reasons, whether you just don't have a big family, whether you got to work that day, whatever the case may be. So I thought it might be nice to come up with a small, compact holiday meal that fits within our meal deals budget, which is serving 4 people for around $10 or so. So what we're going to start with is a chicken roulade stuffed with sweet potato puree and cranberries. I've got here is some sweet potatoes that I baked in the oven. You could steam them, you can boil them, whatever you prefer. I kind of like baked because it doesn't absorb as much moisture into the potato, so it makes it a little bit easier to work with. But I peeled them, I diced them, and I got them in our bowl here. I've got about a half a cup of half and half, about 3/4 a stick, or about about 6 tablespoons of butter, some salt and pepper, and of course our cranberries. So to start with, we're just going to start using our hand mixer and start mixing up these potatoes, just like you would mashed potatoes. And let's take a quick pause and put some of our milk in. Half and half, and a little bit of our butter. Let's see if we can get another chunk to go in there. There we go. Start it up again. There we go. Now I'm only adding the milk a little bit at a time because I don't want to get our potatoes too soupy. Because then when you boil them up in the roulade, it's going to run all out when we bake it, and we don't want that. We're getting there. Oops. That potato fly out of me. It is a bit messy using the hand mixer. If you have a food processor or a blender that you can puree using a little bit easier, that might be a better option. I even saw a recipe before suggest using the stand mixer, which I do have, but it just seemed like a bit much to get out for this. Just a little bit more of the half and half, our last chunk of the butter. Try to collect up some of these potatoes that went flying on me. There we go. That one doesn't really stay. Let's see that one out. Alright, so you're going to blend these until you get a nice smooth texture. Again, just like mashed potatoes, only sweet potatoes. And I think that about does it. So we used about 3/4 of our half and half. We used all 6 tablespoons of the butter. Now we're just gonna sprinkle in some salt. I think about 2 pinches ought to do it. And some pepper. Whoops. Sorry about that. Get a little bit of pepper in there. Give it one more quick mix. Just to get everything evenly distributed. Quick taste. That's good. Set our hand mixer aside because we're done with that for now. And then we're just going to take and fold in our cranberries I've got about a half a cup measured out here. But I don't know if we're going to necessarily want that whole half cup. We just want to hold in our cranberries so it looks like a well-distributed chocolate chip cookie batter, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Maybe just a few more. There we go, that looks pretty good. And we're going to take that and set that aside while we work. Now these chicken breasts were kind of big, so I'm definitely going to have to pound them out nice and thin. We want to get them about 1/4 of an inch or so thick. You can see here I've wrapped it in some plastic wrap. That's so the juices don't go flying everywhere. Plus I didn't want you to see me struggling with the plastic wrap box, so I went ahead and did that ahead of time. And I'm going to use a rolling pin. You can use a small pan if you want. You can use a meat mallet if you have a meat mallet. But whatever you're going to use, you want to get the job done. And you're just going to pound it. Get all the aggressions out. Ooh, there goes my mug. Huh. With the rolling pin, you can also roll it a little bit, which I like to do because that can kind of help you get more of a uniform shape. But pounding is still the best way to get that chicken breast thinned out and into a rollable thickness. Whoop, it's coming out of my plastic wrap a little bit. See if we can fix that a little bit. There we go. Alright. That looks pretty good. Now once again, we're going to take just a little bit of salt. Sprinkle it on the inside of the chicken breast. Now this is the not smooth side that I'm working on because we want to save the smooth side for the outside so it'll be a little prettier when we roll it up. A little bit more pepper, not too much, just a little bit. And then we're going to take a little bit of this lovely puree that we made and smooth it out on the inside here. Try to get it from end to end. Now we're going to leave about 1 inch or 2 of the end of the chicken exposed so that when it cooks it can kind of seal itself up a little bit. There we go. It does look like cookie dough. How about that? And then we're just going to take and roll it up. Let's start with the what used to be the narrow end anyways. I did that backwards. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. It's still going to taste good no matter how it looks. All right, so we're just taking our roulade, rolling it up. And like I said, all right, so we're just taking our roulade, rolling it up, and like I said, we've got the end here that'll hopefully seal itself up, and then we're going to stick it in a baking dish. You can see I've already got the other chicken breast all pounded out for us. Our cooking pan has been treated with some cooking spray. All right, let's do our other one real quick. See if I remember which side was which on this one. There we go. Maybe. All right, and we're just going to do the same thing we did with the other one. Spread on a little bit of the puree. I'm trying not to touch too much because I do have raw chicken on my hands, and we don't want raw chicken all over our kitchen. That would be bad. Excuse me. All right, so we're rolling it up once again. Chicken breast number 2, which I had already treated with some salt and pepper. All right, yeah, that one looks a lot better. Oops, got a little bit of the goop coming out the side. That's all right. Just trying to wipe my hands off a little bit. And then we're going to get a little bit of olive oil or grapeseed oil. Let's see, some grapeseed oil. We're just going to drizzle it over the top. Just a little drizzle. You can see that, just a little drizzle there. A little more salt. We don't want to over salt this, but we do want it to have some flavor. A little bit of pepper. If you want to use some poultry seasoning or Italian seasoning or whatever you have around to make this taste even more holiday-ish, you go right ahead. And spread that around so it's got a nice even coating on it. There we go. And then we're going to stick that in our oven, which has been preheated to 400 degrees for about half an hour to 45 minutes. I am going to stick my thermometer in there so I can keep track of how hot it gets. We want the internal temperature, of course, of poultry needs to be 165 so it's safe to eat. So I will be back with you, and I'm going to show you how to do stovetop seasoned quinoa to go with our dish. Okay, our chicken's in the oven cooking, and we're getting ready to make some stovetop seasoned quinoa. So I've got 2 cups of chicken broth getting ready to boil on the stove. We're going to use a cup of quinoa. We've got sage, rosemary, thyme, and some granulated garlic. And I've gone ahead and chopped up some onion and some carrot because you've seen me do that before. Now we're just going to dice up some celery to go with it. Probably don't need both halves of this because I'm only doing 1 cup of quinoa. That's not really a whole lot, but that's enough for 3.5 cups of cooked quinoa. So that'll be plenty to go with our dish. So as you can see with the celery, all I did was split it in half. And then because the half was still pretty big, I split it in half again. Yes, I've got a very crowded cutting board here. And now I'm just like I do with the carrots, just slicing down the stem, trying to watch my fingers, make sure I don't cut myself. I do that enough. Try not to do it on video. Yes, I know my knife skills are not that great, but like I keep saying, I'm just a mom who cooks, just like all of you. Yeah, that's plenty of celery. So we'll just save that for a snack for later. Our quinoa is just beginning to boil. It's not happy with me because I messed with it a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and start putting in, this is about 1/2 of an onion. I probably won't even put the whole thing in. Let's see. Probably about 1/2 of the half I put in there. I've got 1 medium-sized carrot that I peeled and diced. Actually, that Lunar peeled and diced for me. Thank you, Lunar. Put that in there. And then we're just gonna put our celery in there as well and let that come back up to a boil. And then we'll add our quinoa. We can go ahead and add our seasoning while we're waiting. I'm gonna add about, let's take the shaker top off. I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of sage. About a half teaspoon of each of the sage, rosemary, and thyme. You can use fresh if you want to use fresh. Probably tastes a little bit better, but this is what I got. So as we always say, you got to do with what you got. A little bit of thyme. It's already starting to smell good. Now garlic, I'm a firm believer that you measure garlic with the heart, whether it's granulated or whether it's fresh. So you just put that stuff in. That looks good. Need a spoon. There's my spoon. Give that all quick stir. And then we're going to add our quinoa. This is tricolored quinoa. This is what I like because it's pretty. Stir that in. Top it off with our last couple tablespoons of butter from our stick of butter that we had. Then as soon as that comes up to a boil, we're going to put the lid on it, turn it down to simmer, and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. And by that time, everything should be done. All right, everything's all cooked. Everything smells good. It smells like a holiday dinner in here. Our chicken roulatini is out of the oven. It didn't brown up quite as much as I'd like, but it's fully cooked and it'll still be delicious. Our quinoa is all set to go. You can see it's got some yummy celery and carrots and all kinds of good stuff in there. And I made some gravy real quick and green bean casserole, because what holiday dinner is complete without green bean casserole? So all that's left now to do is cut into our roulades and plate everything up. So we're going to take this one and we're just going to slice it into about half-inch, quarter-inch, half-inch slices. And you can see as we get in here, our yummy sweet potato purees there in the middle. See if we can get a few slices of some cranberries in there too. All right, whoops, that end kind of mushed. That's okay. Set this aside. All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a little bit of our quinoa. Let's see, let's set our plate here. Let's set our knife over here. Can we see our plate? There we go. Plate a little bit of our quinoa right here in the middle. Take a few pieces of our roulade. Might need a little bit of help from the knife here. Oh yeah. I didn't cut it all the way through. There we go, that's better. I can feel it cutting through now. There we go. Get like 3 pieces here. Place that on top of our quinoa. And I went ahead and made gravy too. Just some simple chicken broth, a little bit of butter since store-bought chicken broth doesn't have any fat, and some some flour, you know, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder to give it a little bit of flavor. We're going to put that right over the top. There we go. And then, of course, green bean casserole, because you got to have a vegetable, right? And for the holidays, this counts as a vegetable, even with all the soup and onions and all the good stuff. Right there on the side. And there you are, Thanksgiving dinner on a plate.